Hi, everyone, and welcome back for another Empowerment Exchange. I know things look a little different right now because we are actually on location. We came up to surprise my mom for Mother's Day. And for those of you who celebrated over the past weekend, I wish you a happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a wonderful time spending that time with friends and family and children and everybody else who is celebrating you today or this weekend. So I wanted to still make sure that I showed up for you. This Empowerment Exchange looks a little bit different. Obviously, I'm in a hotel. Lighting's not all that great, but I wanted to come on and kind of stay in the theme of Mother's Day and talk to you today about something called mom guilt. We have all dealt with it. If you're a mom, you know you struggle with, am I making all the right decisions for my children? Am I showing up for them? Am I being there for them? Am I supporting them? Am I making the right decisions about their school and their friends and all the other things that go along with it? But in addition to that, if you happen to be a business owner, you can relate to how you have to figure out that perfect work-life balance. And I have some notes, so I am definitely going to be probably back and forth, but I want to make sure that as we talk about this issue, I share a lot with you because we all have experienced it. We all have had those times where, the one mistake in the course of the day turns it into just a total wreck, right? It totally changes the mood. If you have more than one children, my children are now 33, 30, and 23. But I can tell you, as my two older ones were growing up, if there was like a domino effect, something went wrong with one of them, then something went wrong with the next one. And here you are trying to manage the house, take care of the pets, take care of a spouse, take care of a business, take care of all of these things. And you feel like you're just an absolute and complete failure. Raise your hand if you can relate, because I can tell you, I absolutely can relate. And any one of those things going wrong, just to set off the feel of the day or set off the balance of the day, can set you into a tailspin and leave you thinking, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I get anything right? And I'm failing my children. And I want to let you know that I have experienced that multiple, multiple times in my life, even with my adult children. I'm like, how much more could I be doing for them? What should I be doing for them different? And I think we just have to, first of all, cut ourselves some slack, right? We brought these lives into the world. We are doing the absolute best that we can. And when you're trying to manage a bunch of different things in addition to being a mom, you forget about yourself. You forget about finding balance. You forget about giving yourself the same grace that you would give somebody else. So I want to talk through some of those things with you today. So moms carry an enormous burden in life, period. But again, when you throw in the fact now you are a spouse or a partner, or you are a business owner, or you have multiple children, it is tenfold. So the value that we as moms, I can tell you even for myself, place on our children and making sure that everything is done right for them is above everything else. It tends to show up before our partners, before ourselves, before anything else in the world, is making sure that our children are taken care of. And one of the things I'm going to be sharing with you at the end of this is my ebook on mom guilt, what it is, why it exists, and how to manage it, and also a worksheet to see, are you suffering from mom guilt? And if so, in what areas are you suffering from mom guilt? So I just want to share a couple of these with you. Tell me if any of these resonate. And as we're going through this, I just want to remind you of something, that moms are human. We're human. We're just like everybody else. But there seems to be a lot of emphasis and, I don't know, pressure put on us to make sure that we are not only making the right decisions for ourselves, but also on behalf of our children. So have you been suffering from a heavy dose of mom guilt this past weekend when, we get that opportunity to be celebrated once a year specifically? Although I hope my children celebrate me every day of the year, if you're listening to this. But you have that day, hopefully, where you can just take a deep breath, you can relax, and that you really reflect on how much you mean and how much being a mom really means. But for the other 364 days a year, how often do you beat yourself up? And there are a lot of reasons why that happens. And first of all, I just want to define what mom guilt is. Mom guilt, I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you've experienced it. It is a pervasive feeling that you are failing in some way or another. You may have anxieties about how your kids are developing or who they will be when they get to become adults. I can tell you I'm very proud of my children. They have grown into amazing human beings, that still keep me as part of their life, which I consider a huge blessing. But I did worry. You do worry, right? You want your children to grow up to be good people. You want them to grow up to have their people and find people in their life that love them and who want to be there for them. But you do. I spent a lot of time in my life worrying that I was failing my children in one way or another. And another symptom of mom guilt is feeling like you can't make the right decision for your children, whether it's about school, whether it's about a sport that they're going to be playing, whether it's about a group of friends that they may be hanging out with. You can have guilt along with that as well. And again, these are all things that I have struggled with on my own. You may dwell on mistakes that you made in the past, or become ashamed of something, or feel defeated. And that is all normal. That is all normal as a mom, because when you're a woman and you're prioritizing what it is that you want from life, and hopefully prioritizing what is from what you want from life, and trying to take care of yourself. And then along comes somebody that you choose to share your life with. And then you're kind of putting them in the position of priority. And then you bring these little people into the world, and it seems like the world stops and revolves around them. And we have a tendency to, now that I can tell you, even for me, before I had my kids, I was driving motorcycles, I was going on roller coasters, I was living a little edgier in life. And it's like, as soon as my first son was born, I was like, done with the roller coasters, really need to watch how much time I'm spending on my motorcycle. You just have a totally different feel. It is totally different priorities, because now you have another little person, or you have somebody who you're responsible for. And I can tell you, being a mom, I've dealt with all of those things. I can relate. And then, having been in my own business for over 20 some years, trying to juggle their school, my work, my home, my relationships, it's very, very difficult. And you do feel, probably more than anything, or at least I did, that being a mom is what took um, less of a priority, even though it didn't. But I felt like that all the time. And I beat myself up all the time, because I felt like I wasn't making right decisions, or I did not have a good work-life balance. So let me share with you some things. There's a bunch of different reasons why moms feel guilty in this ebook. I mean, there's a bunch of them. So I'm going to just share a couple with you, and make sure that you request the ebook, and I'll get that over to you. Right now, we live in a world of just so much technology, that some moms feel, guilty about screen time that their children have. Um, you know, a lot of parents now use timers on their screen time, or they will say, okay, if you get your work done, your chores done and your homework done, then you have an opportunity for 5, 10, 15 hour, of screen time. But I do see a lot of moms that are, when we're out at restaurants and stuff, the kids have an iPad, or the kids have a cell phone, or they have some other type of technology. And I know that that can be um, something that you're cautious of. Now, I know some moms who are like, listen, I don't care. I'm going out to a restaurant, and I'm going to make sure my kids have something to watch and pay attention to, so that I get 5 minutes to myself. Completely get where you're coming from. I absolutely completely understand where you're coming from. But it's an area that some moms struggle with. They feel like, oh, my kids need to have a screen, or they need to have technology in front of me, because as a mom, I'm failing. I don't know why my kids can't go out to a restaurant and sit and eat, be quiet for 10 or 15 minutes. So there's the moms that are like, hey, I got this. I know what I'm doing. This is fine. I need 10 minutes to me. And then another mom could be feeling guilty about something that you don't. So screen time is definitely a thing that a lot of moms are struggling with, especially in the age of technology. Um, Not enough activities. Many parents feel guilty that their kids aren't in enough extracurricular activities, and I know when COVID happened, there was everything was shut down, and there weren't things that kids could get involved in, as far as sports. And so, not having enough things for the kids to do, not having enough kids to play with in the neighborhood. And then, really being finding yourself getting angry or impatient about things that your children do. This is an area I can tell you that I struggled with because I knew if I was being stressed about something, I would react. And it would be just the smallest thing, and I could find myself being short tempered or feeling, impatient with my children. And then obviously going back later and saying, hey, listen, mom was having a rough day. This is what was going on. Humbling yourself to apologize to your children is probably one of the most difficult things to do. But I can tell you I did it because I felt guilty. I felt guilty when I would be angry about something or when I would feel impatient about something. And that's one of the biggest things that moms struggle with is just their attitude and how they address the kids and how they're handling the things that they're handling at home. Saying the wrong things. Moms often worry about, did I say the right thing? Did I handle this the right way? And as they get older, let me tell you, it doesn't get any easier. Now, I am a boy mom. I have 3 boys, and I can tell you, I think boys are easier than girls. I have not experienced having a daughter. However, I can tell you, I've experienced having a granddaughter and granddaughters. And yeah, I think it's easier raising boys. That's about all I have to say about that. But again, you worry about saying the wrong thing. You worry about you saying the wrong thing, not only to your children, but to people around you, discussing your parenting styles or discussing how you feel about something. Everybody raises their children different. There's a ton of different ways, not all of them are right, to raise your children. And that's another thing too. Moms feel guilty at some point in time because they're getting feedback from other people as to how they should raise their children. Not protecting them from everything. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people who are raising their children in today's world. It's a very different world from what I raised my children in. And, I can just tell you as a parent trying to protect them along the way, even as adults, I still struggle about making sure that I'm protecting them from the right things and that I'm supporting them. So as you can see, there are so many reasons why moms feel guilty in their lives about parenting. But what I want to share with you, and again, make sure that you reach out for the ebook, but what I want to share with you is that there are things that you can do to deal and manage with the mom guilt that you might be feeling, especially if you're a business owner. Again, having been a business owner for over 20 years of my life, it is a struggle, but I can share with you over the next couple of minutes just some strategies that worked for me, and hopefully they'll be able to work for you too. First one is just really setting clear boundaries. Establish clear boundaries between your work life and your home life and your family time. That is probably one of the biggest things you can do. I can tell you for me, at the end of the day, by 5:30, 6 o'clock, that, work button gets shut off and the family time is there on the weekends. I have people that reach out to me all of the time, especially clients who are looking to engage me from outside the country, different time zones, all of those things. But making sure that I have clear boundaries around this is my family time. This is when I'm going to be available to my husband and to my children. Like this is their time, and that time is very precious. So when you set those clear boundaries around that, and you have your work time and you have your family time, that is something that is really beneficial. And try to be fully present in whatever moment of time that you are in at that time. Whether you are, working, focus on work during work hours, and then on your family time, be available and be really there and focused on your family. And give your family the undivided attention that it needs. I could tell you, like every morning, my husband and I start coffee with each other. We sit down, we talk, we sit there with our dogs, we watch the sunrise, and then we both go into, our daily work schedule. But we come back together again at lunchtime, and that time is very valuable and precious. It's blocked in both of our calendars. Then we work again in the afternoon, and then, by 6 o'clock, we're unplugged. Unless it's some special thing that I have to speak at something or he has to do something. But our family time is very sacred to us, and we have those very clear boundaries around that. And for some people, they don't appreciate them. I've had people who reach out to me on the weekends, and when I respond to them, hey, listen, this is a weekend time. You can reach me during business hours. Sometimes that's not very well received, but that doesn't matter. I'm setting my boundaries. This is what works the best for me. You can set your boundaries as well. Second thing is to prioritize and delegate. Identify what needs are immediate for you and the ones that need your most attention at that time and what can be delegated. In business, empower your team to handle tasks on your behalf. Like I have been traveling for the past few days, and I have been trying to be as much away from my computer and my phone as possible to be present to spend time with my mom and my family who's up here in Delaware. And my team has been incredible. My team has been handling appointments and has been handling emails and has been doing all the things that I typically would have to pay attention to. But because I am intentional about delegating, it really does help. And it make sure that you're appreciative of the people who are there too, that you delegate to. Because in business, it's really important that you have a team around you that supports you and is there for you that you can depend on. And then as far as at home, share responsibilities. My husband and I share responsibilities with everything essentially. So he knows that there's something I need to be doing and he can handle what I was supposed to be doing. And so it's good to be able to delegate not only in work to your team, but also in your home, your children, your spouse. It's very important to prioritize and delegate. And the next one is just to communicate openly, making sure that you are kind of letting those around you know what it is that you need from them and what it is that you expect from them. Keep an open line of communication between your partner and your children. And, I can tell even your team, make sure that you're talking about scheduling or you're talking about any challenges and you're celebrating successes. This can help you manage expectations and foster an understanding and support from your family. Schedule quality time. Make sure to schedule regular quality time with your family. This doesn't always need to be a big event. It can be something small, but it needs to be consistent and you need to make it a priority. And they have to feel like it's a priority, not like, oh, mom's checking off a box, right? Or no, my wife's checking off a box. You want to make sure that you are intentional and present in that moment. And spending time together is going to strengthen any relationship. And taking care of yourself, making sure that you're taking the time to take care of you, it's crucial. It's not selfish. It's got to be a priority in your life. It has to be the most important thing. You have to be the number one priority in your life. Making sure you get enough rest, exercise, downtime is extremely important. It's going to improve your overall feel and your overall mood, which is then going to make it's going to benefit both your business and your family. Trust me. And be kind to yourself. Accept that you can't do everything perfectly. Celebrate your successes and learn from the challenges without criticizing yourself, without coming at yourself. Remember to be as kind to yourself as you are to others, because we have a tendency to be there and forgiving and supportive and all of those things with our friends and our family and our partners and our children, but not with ourselves. And that's the most important thing that you need to do. And you know what? You can balance being a mom. You can balance being a partner. You can balance being a business owner. It's just making sure that you find out what works best for you and what works best for your family. And sometimes you just have to adjust a couple things. Sometimes you need to sit down and kind of do an overhaul, and that's okay. But just because we are moms doesn't mean that we can't be extraordinary business owners, amazing wives and partners. So, I hope that you, if you're sitting there and you're listening to this and you're a mom and you're faced with all kinds of feelings about what's going on in your life with your children, in your business, in relationships, whatever it is, that you understand that you're human and you are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to prioritize yourself. You are allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to do all of these things, and you're human. And that we are not going to be perfect. We are not perfect creatures by any means. But I just wanted to kind of tack this on, having just celebrated Mother's Day, to realize that if you are a mom and you're suffering from any type of mom guilt, please make sure you get this ebook. It's going to dive into all the reasons why moms suffer from mom guilt, but also provide you with a worksheet as well that you can go ahead and just kind of figure out where you rank and all of that. But I hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day. I'm going to be heading back home tomorrow, but thanks for letting me hop on today in a not perfect surroundings to be with you to share this, that we've all suffered from it and there are ways to manage it. And if you need any help, I'm here as always. So make sure that you request the ebook and the worksheet, and I will be back again for next week's Empowerment Exchange.